Hi everyone, my name is Chandan and I welcome you all to my channel again. This is the third video in TestNG tutorial series and today we are going to learn about TestNG annotations. I have divided the session into two parts as the concept of annotations cannot be covered in short time and this is going to be the first one. So let's quickly start. Alright, so what are we going to learn today? Okay. First one is we are going to see what is annotation, okay, the definition of annotation, and then we are going to relate that understanding with our second question, that is, what are TestNG annotations? All right. And right after that, once we get the understanding of what are TestNG annotations, we are going to see how those TestNG annotations are executed. I mean, in what fashion, in what order they are executed. All right. So let's quickly start. Let's go with the first one. So what is annotation? So first, definition. All right, the ritual. But as always, I don't have my own definition. I don't believe in definition, but let's quickly see what the world is saying. The first one is Wikipedia, and annotation is, let me highlight that. All right, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. An annotation is an extra information associated with a particular point in a document. Remember, this is very important, particular point in a document or other piece of information. An annotation is extra information associated with a particular point in a document or other piece of information. It can be a note that includes a comment or explanation. Okay, and let's see what Google is saying. It says to make or furnish critical or explanatory notes or comment. Okay, so we are just going to get when we are adding extra information, okay, in a document, okay, and we call it note, okay, we call it comment in order to get better explanation, right? So when we, and that particular element is called annotate. Okay, we annotate that particular text or line to understand, to add more, to add a note to help us understand it better, or to understand it when we reference it back again. Okay, let me quickly open a document for you, and then we will come back to this um, definition back again. Okay, so this is an image that I took from Google. Okay, so if you see, we have this is a page from a textbook. Okay, and a person is has annotated. Okay, and he has added information, extra information to certain lines or certain text on the page. And if you see, if you observe this entire image, you have annotations, you have text or the notes, comments written in different colors, right? He has used different pen of different colors to mark certain text or line and add some note to it. Okay, so if you see this is the heading, an incomplete list. He has added some information to this particular text. Similarly, here we have round, we have circle, text in circles, and he has added some extra information here for them. And similarly, on the right hand side below down here, he has some different color. He has added some, he has marks, highlighted some lines, you know, made some circles here, and he is referring this they to this with this particular note. Okay, similarly here and everywhere. So if you see that, you know, they are of different colors, and each of them have been tied, has been tied to one or the other text or line on this page. So if you see this particular note, it cannot be referenced to this particular um, particular section of the page. It has a meaning, it will have a meaning only if it is tied to this particular paragraph. Similarly, this line is tied to this particular text, or or this day which is circled here, right? So each note, he has added a note to a particular section of the page. Okay, and they cannot be merged together, they cannot be jumbled together. If you take this note and add it here, it will not make sense, right? And if you change the color of this text, the note that he has written, if you change it to red, and if they are in blue in color, if this text they and this line is blue in color, the person will get confused, or I may get confused whether this particular line in red, if it is in red, is reference to this or this, because I will be in the impression that if this is in red and these are in red, these lines are in red, and this particular text is also in red, then this particular comment or note is referencing this particular paragraph. Okay, so that's why each of this annotation, I mean this each of these notes that you see in this text, they have meaning and they are tied to certain section of this page. Okay, and we call this notes as annotation. Okay, we call them annotation, and this line are they and this line we call them annotated text. Okay, these are annotated text. So let me come back to, so remember two things, that they are of different colors and they have meaning to those, they are adding extra information to these particular to these particular text or line or section of the page. Okay, now you would wonder how I'm going to use this concept to explain you the annotations that we have in TestNG. We will see uh, quickly in the next slide. Okay, and I will explain you with some examples as well. I will program using Eclipse IDE, and then we are going to see the different annotations that we have, and then I will at the end of the at the end of the program or the video, I'll come back to this image to relate what we learned there and here. Okay, so let's go to the slide back again, and we have one more definition from a blog: a comment or note on a diagram, etc., to denote its meaning. So we saw that the person has written some extra information, right? You remember that they was there, so he has added information to that particular they, who the they are, right? So in order to add some meaning to it, okay, denote its meaning, we use comment or note, and that is called annotation. Okay, so those pieces of information that we add to anything that we are reading or understanding, that is called annotation. Okay, so let's go to the second one. The second question is, what are TestNG annotations? So what are the different, we are going to see what are the different annotations that is being provided by TestNG and what are they. Okay, so the definition again: TestNG annotations are lines of code, okay, that are inserted in a program. This is very important, that are inserted in a program to control how the methods below them are to be run. Okay, so TestNG is used to run a method. Okay, and these annotations are added on top of method. Okay, and that particular annotation controls how that particular method is to be run. Okay, so I hope if you are confused, then don't worry about it. Okay, because we don't understand definition in one go. We see some examples, and then only we come back to the definition, and then it makes sense, right? So let's check. Let's go in the next uh, section, that is, so what are the different TestNG annotations that we have provided by TestNG? I'm sorry, yeah, TestNG. So these are the different annotations. They are 15 in number. Okay, I hope the count is correct. They are 15 in number, and they all have different meaning. They all serve different purpose within a project. Okay, so I believe that you are from testing background, or even if you are a developer who is trying to understand what is TestNG, or what are the different annotations that we have when you write unit test. Okay, if you are a developer, then when you write unit test, you use TestNG or JUnit. Okay, so you use all these annotations. Okay, not necessarily that you are going to use all of them, but they all provide different feature. Okay, so when you are executing your test, when you're creating, in fact, sorry, when you're designing your test, you're going to use these annotations. And similarly, if you are a Selenium developers, that is, you are a tester and you are designing your automation script, you are going to use all this annotation uh, in your project. Okay, I'm not telling that you're going to use all of them. Okay, but if you want, you can use them. Okay, and I will show you with some example. We are going to use first, second, third, I mean till test from top. We are going to use these annotations in our example, okay, and these will be covered in future, okay, because in order to understand these, you need to understand this, these annotations. Okay, so these are the 15 annotations and they all have different job to offer. All right, so this is a sample method from one of the program that we have, that I have, and if you see that we have a method, and what this method is doing, it is simply printing this statement, I'm in test method 1. Okay, but if you see in this entire image, we have something here at the rate test, right? And this is nothing but annotation. Okay, this is what we call annotation, and this is, we are adding this, we add this to a method, and that's the reason why it says method below them, right? Method below them. So this method is below this annotation. Okay, and this annotation can be any of this annotation. Okay, so that depends, I mean, it depends on what are you trying to achieve. Based on that, you will use this annotations. Okay, you can use before suite, after suite, before test, after test, before class, after class, before method, after method, and test method, test. So right now, if you see, we have used this test annotation with this method. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But if in case you are still confused, I mean, I understand that, this is very little for you, for explanation, but we are going to see an example with an actual code where you will get to see all these annotations, and then it will make more sense to us. All right, so let's go to the next one. So we are going to see all the annotations, these annotations that we have. We are going to see, we are going to see all this, I'm sorry, yeah, these annotations. We are going to talk about what do they do, okay, and some more information on them. So, okay, so the first one is before suite. Okay, I will quickly read all of them. Okay, it may not make sense to you as of now if you're a beginner. Okay, but I will come back to this slide, to this slide and the last slide as well, after we are done with the example. So I'll quickly just go through one after the other. Before suite, the annotated method will be run before all tests in the suite in this suite have run. Okay, so when you are executing your suite, all the tests that you have within that suite, before they are executed, the method with this annotation will be executed first. Okay, the annotated method will be run before all tests in this suite have run. I'll give an example. If you have regression suite, if you have smoke suite, you have sanity test, right? They are certain suite. Now all of them have some test to be executed. Now if you want one test to be executed before all of them, before they are executed, then for that particular method, or for that particular test, you have to use before suite on top of it. All right, similarly, we have after suite. Okay, now what does it say? The annotated method will be run after all tests in this suite have run. Okay, so once the entire suite, so for example, regression suite, you have executed all the regression tests, and there is one test to be performed at the end of the suite. Okay, you want that particular test to be executed, or particular method to be executed at the end of the regression suite. Probably you want to generate a report, probably you want to send a mail to your manager or your peers, right? Then that particular execution, that particular method will have after suite annotation on top of it. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then we have before test, the annotated method will be run before any test method belonging to the class. Okay, now each class will have at the rate test. Okay, I'm sorry, each class will have certain methods, they will be executed. Okay, now, and we can have multiple classes within a test to be executed. Okay, so I'm going to next definition. Okay, and we'll come back to this. I understand that this may not make sense, but this may not make sense, but I'm just reading this for you. Okay, and after test, the annotated method will be run after all the test methods belonging to the class inside the test tag have run. Now this test tag is is pointing to the test suite XML. Okay, suite XML, which we are going to see after we are done with understanding TestNG annotations. Okay, so that will come next. So please don't worry about this now. Okay, similarly we have before class. Even this is run after some methods. Okay, in the current class, okay, if you have multiple tests within a class, then, and if you want to execute one method before all those tests, then you have to you have to use this annotation with that class, okay, with that method in the class. Similarly, we have after class, and then we have before method, we have after method, and we have test. So these are the information, okay. And as I told you that, I will come back to this after the program. So let's go to the program. Sorry. Just a minute. All right. Now, after that, we are going to see, just a minute. Sorry. So sorry. Yeah. After that, we are going to see the order of execution. Okay. So let me not go to this slide. I will come back to this slide and the two slides that we had earlier. Okay. So let's go to Eclipse first. Okay. And we are going to create a new project. Okay. Let's create a Java project. Sorry, something is wrong here. Just a minute. All right, so let me just create a new Java project, and let's name it as ng YouTube demo. All right. Okay, so let's go next and finish. All right, so it has created a new project in the package explorer. Let's go to source src and let's add TestNG. Okay, configure build path. And if you don't know how to add TestNG, I have explained you in a video. I was just quickly show you that. If you come to my channel, this is the video where I have explained you there are different ways to set up TestNG in Eclipse. So you can refer this particular video. Okay, and I've added that in the playlist as well. Okay, so you can refer this playlist if you want to, if you want to learn TestNG from scratch, then this is the playlist that you have to go. All right, so let me just quickly go to Eclipse, and I'm going to add library and I'm going to select TestNG. Hit next, finish. All right, we are done. So we have set up the our Eclipse to use our project to use TestNG. All right, so now let's go and create a class. Let's first create a package. All right, so let's add com.ytvideos dot TestNG. All right, so let's finish it. Now within this package, let me add a class. Right now, the class name would be, let's make it TestNG demo. Sorry, TestNG YT demo. All right, and we are not going to use main class. We are just hitting finish. All right, now we have this class ready. Now what are we going to do is we are going to create different methods, okay, and on each of the method we are going to use TestNG annotations. Okay, we are going to add annotations to them. All right, so I have let me just quickly create one. Sorry, public void. All right, so this will be, let's start with suite. Okay, so before or maybe just let's start with before method. Okay, and right, so dot print. I'm going to use only print statement to explain you, but later in the second part of this video, we will use actual Selenium script to demonstrate or to understand these annotations. Okay, so before method. All right. So since this is before method, okay, the method can be the method name can be anything. Okay, just for this, for the understanding purpose, I'm using before method. Okay, and with this method, I'm going to use before method. All right. And if you see, we have a curly line here, so we are going to import from TestNG. All right. Okay, so this is added if you see here. Similarly, we are going to use another method. So before method, similarly, I told you that we have for each type of annotations that we have before and after method. We have before and we have after. Okay, and this is how you add the annotation for a method. So similarly, let me just correct it and correct the statement. Okay, and complete this. Okay, and I'm going to add now before method is done. Similarly, we are going to add, let me add before test and after test. Okay, test method, sorry, take this, right, remove this, sorry, okay, copy, paste, after test, and this is before test, after test. All right, so and we have more. So what I will do is I'll just paste it in order to save time. So before method done, before test done, and now let's go with before suite, right? And after suite. Okay, so just quickly copy this, paste it here, and make it small. Okay, similarly after suite, let me just copy this, rename it, okay, space, and okay, thereafter we are done with before suite, before test, before method. What we are left with is before class, right, and after class. Okay, class, okay, before class and after class. All right, so and there is one more. If you remember, we have test annotation, which is the most important. That is where we actually perform the test. All right, so test method, or maybe just leave it as test01, and this will be test, sorry, maybe class 01. All right, so we have added all the 10 annotations that we learned. I'm just going to add all the references. Put, they all are different actually. For each annotation, we have different reference, so we have to import all of them. Okay, and the last one is test, run it, import. Okay, so everything is done. Okay, you can see that, see here all the imports. For each of them we have different import statement. Okay, so okay, we don't have error, and we have added everything here, and I hope all the text was correct. Before method, before test, after test, before suite, after suite, before class, after class, test one, test class one. Okay, now you must wondering that if I execute this test, which one is going to be executed first. Okay, now test ng has some logic behind which method to be executed first. Okay, we are going to see that in the last slide which I did not show you. Okay, that is where I have explained you, but I wanted to explain that with an example first, and then we'll go back to that slide to understand what that particular slide is talking. All right, so we have added all the annotation and we have just used this out statement to understand what they are doing and in what fashion they are executed. All right, so let me just quickly run TestNG. So in order to run a TestNG class or method, then what you have to do is you have to just come to the package explorer, right click on the class that you want to execute. So, and you will find run as here. Okay, so let's quickly run the test. And after executing, you will find the console here, and our test has been, the class, I mean all the methods has been executed, all the tests. Okay, now if you see the sequence here, okay, we have before suite, before test, before class, before method, class one, after. Okay, and the last one is after suite. Okay, now let me just drag this a bit. Okay, this will help us to understand. Okay, now if you see here, the first method, let me just sorry. All right, I'm sorry, maybe I'll have to cancel that. Okay, if you see here, the first method in this program, okay, in this program TestNG demo class, the first method that we have is before method with annotation before method. But the execution, when the execution was done, the first method was the first method executed was before suite, which is here, right? It executed this first and not this. Similarly, if you go to the second one after method, this should be executed second, but my TestNG executed before test first. Okay, right after suite it executed test, and then it executed the class before class, and then it executed before method, and then it executed my test, right, the one with @test annotation, and after that it executed after method. Okay, and then after method, after this method and method was done. Okay, since before method it was before class, so after class was executed, and similarly before test, after test was executed, and then we have before suite, which is here after suite. All right, so this is the entire execution flow. And if you are confused about what is this in the middle, so right after executing this, okay, right after executing after test, it gave you the total the pass and fail report. I mean, it is sort of report which tells you the number of test cases which were run and how many of them passed and how many of them failed and how many of them skipped. I'll explain you this in a later videos, but right now just think that this is just a log of the execution. So if you see here, the order of execution is first suite, before suite, and then before test, and then it goes to before class method, and then before method, and then it executed the test. Okay, and after method, and after that after class, after test, and then after suite. So what is the precedence? I mean, the order of precedence, I would say. Suite, and then we have test, and then class, and then method, and then the actual test, and then it starts to close all of this. Okay, so whatever we have with before, they will be close with after. So after method, after class, after test, and after suite. Okay, I hope I hope I have made sense. In case you have any doubt, then probably you should write this statement, this program, and then you can try to run them, and you will understand the order sequence. Okay, now, the order of execution. Now, if what would happen if I change this particular method and bring it down all the way down? Okay, let's do this. I have cut this particular method, removed from line number 25 to line number 54. Do you think the order will change? Let's see. Okay, I have just changed the order of one of the I have randomly picked one of the method with one of the annotation, probably before test annotation. I put it all the way down. Okay, now let's see if the order of execution has changed. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to run the same class again, and you will see here. Okay, so if you remember, this suite, before suite, also, I mean, before suite was executed, and then before test, before class and method, and this class and the test method was executed, and after that, all the, I mean, after method in the same reverse sequence. So method, and then we have class. So after class, then we have before test. So after test, and then the top one was before suite. So after suite. So you saw that even if we change the order, the methods location within a program, the execution order is still the same. Okay, and who is doing this? This is TestNG. Okay, so TestNG is taking care of this. That despite, I mean, no matter where you have kept the test, in what order you have kept the test, the method with annotations, it will execute only in this fashion. Okay, it will always go with before suite first, and then it will pick up before test, before class, before method, and then the test, and then method, class, test, and suite. So suite to method, and then back from method to suite. Okay, remember this. Okay, so let's go back to our slide and see if we can understand this. Okay, now let's go to this. Now TestNG order of execution, I showed you with an example. We saw that the before suite was executed first, and then before test was executed, the method with before test annotation was executed, and right after that the method with before class was executed, and then before method, and then my test, the actual the method with at the rate test annotation was executed, and right after that, in reverse order, that is after method, and then before method, and okay, just a minute, let me, okay, fine. In case we have two method with at the rate test annotation, then my order of execution would be, I mean, these three will remain same, but for each test that we have, we will have before method and after method. So for test case one, before method was executed first, and then my test was executed, and after that, after method was executed, and then since we have another method, we have before method will be executed again. Okay, and that the second test will be executed, and right after that, after method will be executed, and then it will go to after class, after test, and after suite. So let's quickly check if we have two method with at the rate test annotation. Okay, so we'll come back to this order of execution once again. All right, so let's go here and see, this is the at the rate test annotation. So what I'm going to do is I will just copy this, and I will maybe uh, let's put it here. Okay, we can, I told you we can keep our test anywhere in the project. Okay, in this class and in the project too, but we will see to that later. Okay, so let's make it 2, and let's make it 2. Right, so we are done. I have added another method with at the rate test annotation. Okay, at the rate test. So we have in all two methods, okay, with at the rate test annotation. Now let's run it. Let's see what happens. What is the order of execution? Cool. So now if you see, if you remember, suite was always on the top, and then we have test, then we have class, then method, test. Okay, the first test, class 1 was executed, and then after method, and then I told you that we have another test, before method will be called again. So before method and after method, remember this, before method and after method will be executed for each of the method, with at the rate test annotation. Okay, for each of the method with at the rate test annotation, before method and after method will be executed. So before, this is the class 1, we have before method and after method, and then we have class 2, I'm sorry, the test method 2, I'm sorry, I should have written test method here instead of class. Sorry, may be confusing, but just consider that, this is the test method. So test method, before method and test method. So this method was called, before method was called because we have another method with @test annotation. I hope my mouse is here. You can see my mouse, the cursor. Okay, so we have two. That's why there will be two times. The method, the before method and after method will be called twice. Okay, for each. So one test before method, after method, another test before method, after method, and after that, since we have before class, we have after class, we have before test, we have after test, and lastly, finally, we have before suite. So after suite will be executed. So the sequence remains the same, okay, but you have to make a note that if we have multiple methods with @test, then for each of those methods, each of the methods that we will have before method and after method being called, okay, right before the execution of that method and after that execution of the method, and after that we will have after class, after test, and after suite. All right, so let's go back to our slide. So if you see here, this is what I was talking. We have test case two, test case one, we have before method and after method. We have test case two, we have before method and after method, and then class, test, and suite. So always remember, this is one of the interview question, that what is the sequence of execution. Okay, then you have to start from suite and then test and then class and then method and then test. So this is the thing that you have to remember. Always remember. I take interviews and there are many people who get confused between test and method. What they do is, instead of method, they add test right below this, because they think that, okay, since we have method with @test annotation, before test should come before this. All right, let me highlight this. So they think that since we have method with @test annotation, ideally before test will come before test, before this one, before test execution, and after that, after test. So which is wrong. Okay, remember that. Always remember that the TestNG follows this order. It executes the suite first, the methods on suite level, and then the method on test level, and then on class, and then on method, and then it's execute the actual test. I mean the method with @test annotation. Okay, @test. All right. Okay, I hope I have cleared. We have seen two different examples. Now we are going to do, okay, uh, generally we don't test it this way. Now, right, what we do is we don't print only statement, but we do some Selenium commands. We click some, we open application and we execute some string Selenium scripts, right? We perform some click event, we perform some text enter, and then we generate report, we send mail, all of this. So you must be wondering that where are the task that we do within a method, how should those tasks should be, I mean, how would those tasks mapped to these these annotations, right? What should be the task that we should do within after method? What should go within before method? What should go for the method that we have with your method with annotation before suite? What should go in the before suite, right? What should go in after suite? What should go in before class? And what should go in @test, right? These are some just simple these are sysout statement. This will, you may not understand. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we are going to create another class where we are going to see what we do generally when we are actually working in automation project, right? So I'm going to use sysout statement to explain that, but we are going to write what task we are going to do within that method and with that annotation. Okay, so let's just create another class here, right? And this will be let's make it test ng yt, sorry, demo selenium. Right, so let's finish this. Okay, so cool. Okay, let me just quickly copy this. Okay, copy all of this and paste it here. Okay, Okay, now I told you that the order of execution is before suite and then test, before class, method, and then test. So let's start with suite. So if you think of automating, right, automation, okay, think in automation perspective. When you are executing, when you want to automate your test script, what is the first thing that you do, right? So you know that the first thing, the method which is executed first is the method with annotation before suite, right? So you have to add that particular task, the first task that you want to perform within the method with annotation before suite. All right. So what is the task that you do first in your execution, right? So what we set up Chrome, right? We set up how do we set up Chrome? I if you don't know, then we set property of we give the path of Chrome driver within our application. So this method will be responsible to set up Chrome, right? That is, will set the path. Okay, let me just set path for driver. All right. So this is the first thing that we do. We set up Chrome. Okay. Now before suite is done, okay, we are done setting up Chrome. We are done setting up the driver path. And what is next? What is executed next? We execute before test, right? So let's go to test. So before test, let's go to before test. Okay, this is the before test. Okay, they are not in order. I told you that they can be anywhere. Okay, all you have to do is make sure that you're using the right annotation. So right after setting up Chrome path, what do you do in before test? What do you do next? Okay, so you can do many things, but I'm just keeping this as simple as possible. You have set the Chrome path, and now we are going to do is we are going to open Chrome, right? We are going to open Chrome. Chrome will be invoked using this method. Okay, this method will be responsible to open Chrome. Okay, and then what comes next? Before class. So right after opening the this thing Chrome, what happened next? And our sequence after test is before class, sorry, before after we are done with setting up before test, we have to the next method, the next method that will be executed will be before class. So let's go to before class. Before class, yeah, this is where it is. And here what do? We open the application under test, that is the website, right? We open the URL, the website that we want to test, right? So we set up the Chrome path, and then we open Chrome, and then the website is launched. Okay, that particular the application under test is launched. Okay, now after before class, what is executed by Selenium, by TestNG? It executes before method. Okay, so what is the next thing that you will do after launching the site? Okay, that will be executed as a part of before method, right? So let's go with before method. So what do we do in before method? Think about it, right? So after invoking, the first thing that we do is sign in to an application, right? Let's consider an e-commerce site. Okay, Amazon, Flipkart, Walmart, anything like, right? So right after invoking the site, okay, the first thing that we do is sign in. Okay, let's go to next. Now before method is done, what do we do next? Okay, we execute a test, right? And the test is the method with @test annotation, right? So what are we going to do after signing in? I'm sorry, before method, yeah. All right. After signing in, what do you do? You will do if it is an e-commerce site. Let's search for a product, right? We will search for a product, right? Now this particular method, it will have some piece of program, some piece of statement which will search for a product, right? I'm using this sysout statement to keep it simple, else we'll have to write all the statement there, which all the statement which we are going to perform in the next video. Okay, we are going to see actual Selenium commands, and we will see if they are following this, if we are able to achieve that particular able to achieve our automation using this particular approach, right? Approach means using Selenium, sorry, using TestNG annotations. I'm so sorry. So we will search for the product, okay? And then if you remember, after a test is executed, that is this particular method will be executed, what happens? It goes to after method, okay? It will find where is my after method. So after method, okay? We are done with searching the product, okay? Now what we will do, we are done with searching the product. We are going to sign out of the sorry, yeah, we are going to sign out of the application, right? So this is the uh, test. First test, what we did, we sign in, and then we search for the product and sign out. All right, and we used three methods to achieve this, right? Before method, we signed in, and we performed a task that was search for a product, and then we sign out using after method, right? And if you remember, we have another test, right? We have another test. So if we have more than one test, then it will look out for the next test. So but before it executes this particular next test, it will call before method again, right? It will call before method again, and then it will execute the method, the task that we have within this at the rate test, I mean the method with at the rate test, and then it will call after method again. So we are going to before method again. So what have we defined in before method? Before method we have sign in, right? So we have to, since we have signed out, we are going to sign back in, right? So this will be called again. So once this will be called, sign in will happen, right? We will sign in again. And what are we going after sign in? We will come back, say method before method 2, and we are going to go back to test, I'm sorry, test 2, the next test. So the next test after we what this time what we are going to do is add a product to cart. Okay, we will just select a product and we'll add it to the cart. Okay, once we have successfully added to the cart, what it will do is after test, I mean for each test, we call before method and after method, so it will go to after method again. So what do we have in after method? It will sign out. Okay, so I add to cart and it will sign out. Okay, and what do we have after sign after method? We have after class, after test, and after suite. So let's see what do we have after in after class. In after class we have, what do we do in after class? What can you think of? So it will just go in a reverse order, like we in before class we open the site. So what we will do is, what I mean, we open the website, right? So in after class we will close the website, close the AUT, application website. Okay, so we are going to close this site. And after that, after class we have after test. Okay, so in after test, where is it? After test, right? So this is where you have to do something. So what will you do after in after test? We will close the browser, right? Close the browser. Okay, if you remember in before class we open in before test, sorry, where did I change? Yeah, before test, let's go to before test. Before test we open Chrome, right? So this time in after class, in after test, sorry, in after test we are close the browser or Chrome, anything, they are same. Okay, and it's not necessary to follow the same sequence as you're doing, right? You can perform some other action as well if needed. All right, but all I'm telling is they will follow this order. What order? This order. Okay, and after test we are going to, the after suite will be executed. So what should we, after closing the browser, what is the last thing that you will do? So that will go here. Think of the last uh, thing that you will do. We will clean the cookies, right? Clean the cookies because you don't want the cookies to be there. So you can clean the cookies, and maybe you can send report to the team, right? You can perform all these actions at the end, and this will be the last thing which will be executed, right? Control S. So let's just run this and see the order of execution. Okay, so if you come here and see this, first of all, we are setting up the Chrome. We are setting the path for the driver, and then we open the Chrome. Okay, right after opening a Chrome, we are opening the website, launching the site. We signed in, we search for the product, we sign out. Again, we signed in. Okay, remember, we signed out, but we haven't closed the site yet. The site is still up. Okay, and we signed in, and then we chose a product and added to a cart, and then we signed out. And then after that, once our tests are completed, right, this is the entire test that we perform, right, we close the site, and then we close the browser, and then just this is this report, this is how TestNG is showing actually. So it sends, if you see this, okay, I'll come to this later. And in the last, which is after suite, which is clean the cookies and send report to the team, right? So this is the sequence. So it is executing in the same fashion that we learned. Okay. Now, if you see here, past, there are two tests. Now these tests are the tests that we have here. Test one. These two are the test methods that have at the rate test annotation, right? See, test 01 at the rate test annotation. Test 02 at the rate test annotation. So only those are printed here, right? Because these are, any method with at the rate test, they will be considered as test. Rest of them, they are not considered as test, they are considered as enabler. You are just setting up something in order to perform some test, like prerequisites, right? For execution, we have prerequisites. Similarly, for prerequisite, in order to test an application, you need to have Chrome open, you need to load the site and do rest of the thing, right? So similarly, all those prerequisites are done with all this before annotation, before suite, before after suite, and all, before suite, before class, all those with before, they will be used for prerequisite, and at the rate test will be where you will do the actual execution, and after that, all the after ones, they will clear all the prerequisites, clear all the things that you have set up. Okay, so in a real world, in the real execution, if you know that we make a connection to database to read data, and then we set up environment. So anything that you need to set up, or anything that you need to set up in order to be able to execute your test, all those things will go in before annotations. Okay, the annotations with at the rate before text. And once those are set up, then you will execute your test using at the rate test annotation. And then once all the tests are executed, you will call all the methods with after annotations. Okay, after class, after test, after suite. Okay, so this is what I wanted to explain you within this video. Okay, and I will explain you more in detail. We are going to see actual Selenium commands within this methods. Okay, and in the next video, they are not going to be in the same class. These annotations can span across different classes. Okay, we can have multiple classes here, and and each of the class will have different annotation, and we will see how they are being executed. Okay, and that is actually uh, done in a good automation framework. You will never find all the methods, all the annotation in one class. Okay, they are spread across different classes. Okay, so we will see. I will even create video on designing a automation framework, basic automation framework, and then once we are done with designing the basic automation framework, we are going to upgrade it. Okay, So that is how it is done in company actually. We create basic automation framework, and daily, each week or each day, we upgrade it, right? We add more functionality to it, we add more support to it. All right. So we'll see one after the other, but for this video, I guess I have explained everything. Let's stop it here. And as I told you that we are going to go back to the slides that we referred. So I hope the order of execution was pretty much covered. Before suite, before test, class, method, and for each test we have before method and after method. So two test, two before method and after method in order, and then before class, before suite. So we will have after method, after class, after test, and after suite. All right, so let's go back to the last slide. Sorry. Okay, it has taken a lot of okay, let's start from the beginning. Okay, now we saw that the before suite was called before all the tests, right? Any test is called, okay, first of all, before suite will be called if we have any method with, remember this is very important, if we have any method with before suite annotation. The next, I mean, this is the last one actually after suite. So let's go to the let's read this statement. The annotated method will be run after all tests in the suite have run. So we saw that after suite was the last to be executed. Okay, and after after this before suite method is executed, we took before test, right? And if you can remember what will come next before test, after executing the method with annotation before test, if you are right, then it will be not after test, it will be before class. Okay, so before, these are not in order, I'm telling you, these are not in order, these are just information. If you see information about these tags, okay, so I was just asking you to test yourself. Before test, after executing the method with annotation before test, it will look out for anything with before class. All right, so similarly, after before class we have before method. Okay, so before method will be called, and after before method it will look out for before test. I'm sorry, just test. Okay, and after test it will go in a reverse order. That will be, it will go and find for method with after method annotation, and then it will look out for after class. Okay, method with after class. See, all the test method in the current class have been run. Similarly, after method, after class we have after test. Okay, after all the test method belonging to test class inside the test tag have run. Okay, just ignore about this text. Okay, we'll cover that when I explain you TestNG XML file. Okay, which is very important. And after test we have the last one, after suite. All right, so before suite, and then before test, and then before class, and then this before method, and right after that after test. If we have multiple tests, then before test and after test will call for each of them. Okay, in the order before method, test, and after method. And once all those tests are executed, okay, after test will be called for the final test, after method will be called for the final test, and after that it will go to after class, and then after test, and after suite. All right, I hope it's clear. Okay, so let's go to the last one. I'm sorry. Yep, so if you see that TestNG was controlling how the methods should be executed within, I mean, using its annotation, right? So TestNG was controlling the methods, which one should be executed first and which one should be executed last. Okay, and which one needs to be repeated. So everything is done by controlled by TestNG. All you have to do is you have to write methods and use the right annotation against them. All right, okay. So okay, now coming back to the image that we referred. I told you that we'll come back to this image. Now I hope that it will make sense. Each of these lines, these circles with different colors, consider them as methods. Okay, no more. Just consider it as a method. Now, this particular method has an annotation of different color, right? So, different line, I mean, different method with a different color, different text with a different color. That means a method with a different with an annotation. All right, a method, this is sorry, let me do it like this. Okay, so a method with a different annotation. Okay, a method with a different annotation, right? Similarly, a method, these are different, I mean, they are blue in colors and it has some annotation against it. Okay, so similarly here, right, green, some different annotations, right? So each method, each text that you have in this page, it is tagged to a text that the person has written here and with a different color, and that's the reason why he has used multiple colors, I mean, different colors to reference to a particular text. And in text, and if we talk in terms of programming, different methods. Okay, so I hope I have explained you what I promised earlier, that we are going to relate the actual meaning of annotations to what we have in TestNG, right? So line in green, and we have some notes, comments, information against this line here. So this is annotation, right? I'm sorry. Uh, this is annotation, right? And this is the method, right? This is annotation. This is annotation. This is method. This is annotation, and this is method. Okay. All right, so that is what I have for you today, and I will meet you in the next slide, where we will see uh, where we are going to perform. I'm sorry. Yeah, where we are going to perform the same actions that we saw here. All right, here that we saw here with actual script, Selenium script. All right, so that's all for now in this video, and I thank you for your time and patience. I know that I take longer than what is expected, but sometimes I think that my viewers may not be, I may not have explained you better, so that's why I try to explain you as much as possible. Okay, with different examples. Thank you. And next time we are going to see the annotation in TestNG part 2. All right. I mean, the part 2 video. Thank you. And you have a good time. Bye bye. And yes, last but not the least, if you like the videos, please like hit the like bucket button, and subscribe the channel, share it with your friends, and please drop a comment. Okay, if you like it, please drop a comment. That way, I know that you're liking it. And if you drop a comment, I get to know that you have actually watched that video, because when you hit your like, I don't get any notification for that. Okay, so please comment and hit like. Okay, thank you very much for your time once again.